Sir.
From my recollection of history, there was an attempt at secession in the middle of the last century. It was not successful. What do you think would be the obstacles in this century for achieving succession if it didn't succeed in the earlier attempt? What are the obstacles?
Well, the
What do you
obstacles.
think the five-sided building in Washington would do about secession?
Well, the obstacles are similar as to what they were in 1861. And there is the centralizing power is capable of illegally mobilizing at least part of the public and sending them into war against a secessionist state. There is a further problem, particularly in the South, of what that earlier secession in some ways represented, which nobody wants to re-echo. But I will tell you this, I don't think, let's just imagine Vermont in 2015 electing a governor, lieutenant governor, and a majority of the Senate and the House who vote for secession, or who have a statewide referendum, or a conventional, a Congress, statewide Congress. And they vote overwhelmingly for secession, and they announce that to the world. I don't think anybody in control of that five-sided building would actually be able to send nukes onto Montpelier, Vermont. I don't see it happening. And particularly if the state was careful about getting world opinion behind it and American opinion behind it. One of the difficulties with that earlier secession was that although it did have some support in the North, it failed to have enough support in the North and West that they might have built up if they had been thinking in that way. But to build up world and national opinion on behalf of supporting a independent Vermont Republic, I think that could be done with enough power to prevent Washington sending out troops on tiny little Vermont. And I think that same idea would have to apply to any other state that wanted to push for secession. It would have to prove that it was doing it peaceably and doing it with overwhelming democratic approval. If you didn't do that, then I think it would not get popular opinion on its side and would be ultimately a failure. Yes, sir?
I was just curious as to what exactly makes you think that state government would be any better than the federal government. I mean, it seems to me that if states secede from the Union, power would still rest in the exact same people's hands. I mean, state governments have not historically been a force for progress or change.
That's
it
a good,
seems like
it's a good question, but the point
version of the same thing.
The point is that first of all, we're putting different people into power at the state level who are trying to increase the independence and freedom and the popular voice of the people in their state, so that they begin with that. Secondly, scale matters. There's a book out there for sale that argues scale matters immensely. And when we're thinking about this in South Carolina, we're talking about a state of 4.5 million people. and which is, by the way, about the ideal size of a successful nation. I just gave a talk to a meeting in Charleston, going through all of the nations in the world, all of the entities in the world, not merely the 193 in the United Nations, but there are other entities as well, and finding out at what size are they successful democratically? What size are they successful in advancing freedom? At what size are they economically powerful? And again, you find that with very few exceptions, they fall in the range of 3 to 5 million people as the most successful state. Some of them edge up on to 7 million people, which is Switzerland's level. But that at a size of that small, they can be very successful. And I would argue that South Carolina would be possible to be successful at that size. Which is not to guarantee that it would be a viable republic, but you cannot get to some kind of real democracy, even effective representative democracy, at any size much beyond that 3 to 5 million level.
I would just argue that there is no, I've never heard of or seen such thing as a successful state, at least successful in preserving the liberties of the people who live in it, and I would question the idea of even striving for it.
Well, if you don't think that a state is possible for its freedom for its individuals, then you can live your happy anarchist life. That's fine. But I'm saying that I think in the real world, we can imagine an effective, roughly democratic entity at a smaller scale. There will be problems, of course, and I don't think that, alas, that it will be easy to do away with corporate power, capitalist power, but there is at least a chance of checking that kind of power as an independent, small independent nation. And I don't see any other way to attempt that kind of checking. Yes, sir.
Just two points. I think of some place that I would like to live that's sort of peaceable and democratic, and that would be Costa Rica. I don't know what protects Costa Rica. I don't know enough about it to know why they haven't been overtaken. I don't see South Carolina as being a place where real democracy could flourish. I mean, and I know a lot of people in South Carolina, and I sort of know their politics. So in terms of me thinking of South Carolina being a separate country next to me in North Carolina, I don't like the idea of it. I mean, it's kind of like it would be an enemy state, an enemy country next to us. You don't see it like that?
Why would it be an enemy?
Well, because they're nuts.
What about racism?
Well,
and
yeah.
various problems that still exist in those places. Would it be a fear of people reinstituting racist policies, or
Yeah, we would have a lot of black refugees.
I think so.
Well, all I can tell you is that among the small group of people who are talking about this in South Carolina now, there are a half a dozen black